Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Saurabh Kotruwar, part of General Management Program at XLRI Jamshedpur. And it's my pleasure to bring you to this conversation at Re-Envision 5.0, our digital conclave program by Conclave Committee. Our theme this year is AI synergy. How do people and machines bring best out of each other? But underneath all the excitement, there lies a real question, which often go unnoticed in media. So all of these AI models, LLMs, all of these tools use some data. This data is nothing but our data. And when the moment we hand it over, the most important question someone has to answer. The question is the data safe? Today we are joined by someone who has spent nearly 2 decades in cybersecurity technology and data privacy. Her career has spanned across IT service and consulting, banking and financial services, and now fast-moving world of consumer goods. Along the way, she has led large transformation programs and led several teams across various regions, bringing structure and calm to organizations. Today, she is General Manager and Chief Information Security Officer at Diageo India, that puts her right in the intersection of technology, governance, and business strategy. A seat that matters more than ever as companies are racing to adopt the AI. Ms. Ishita, welcome. It's a real privilege to have you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So, before anything else, if you could provide an introduction yourself, so the way you'd want batch of MBA to hear about it.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Ishita Dey and I work as the CISO, that is Chief Information Security Officer for Diageo India. Diageo happens to be an alcoholic beverage company, and we are a company which produces the most iconic brands of spirits. Um, as a CISO, my responsibility is to ensure that the IT systems and the applications, the infrastructure, and now AI is secured in such a way that we are able to prevent or defend against any cybersecurity breaches. All the cybersecurity programs we ensure that all the cybersecurity programs happen, and we as an organization are able to deliver business outcomes effectively.
Awesome. So, I come from software engineering background. I build AI, and then think about safety later. You think about safety first. When someone like me hands a new shiny AI tool to you, what is the first thing going through your head?
Right. So I have a total work experience of almost 2 decades, and through the entire journey, if I can reflect back, there has been so many technology transformations that I have come across. So yes, AI is definitely something to be very excited about because it gives a lot of it brings about great productivity benefits and real business outcomes. However, whenever we bring in new technology to our business environment, it opens up many doors for a lot of cybersecurity attacks, because any new technology expands the attack surface. So we have to be really mindful about how we are using the new technology. AI is definitely the new shining tool, and although we are excited about it and we want to ensure that we scale AI adoption in a very secure way, and that's where the real business value will materialize. Because unless you have safety guardrails in place, any new initiative and trying to put it in production might take you in a direction where it can lead to breaches, or it can lead to some failures which would be very costly for an organization. So I would say that yes, AI is great, but we need to kind of use it within the guardrails and the governance frameworks.
I understand. So, for a security perspective, a person, is AI most exciting thing going to happen in years, or is it most worrying?
It's definitely the most exciting thing. At least I'm very excited about it.
So, going back to your educational background, you chose to do an MBA, and that is planner mindset. what drove you towards risk and security as place to build a career?
Right. So I have done MBA in operations management, and within operations management, I have got learned disciplines on how to ensure that production happens in a very planned way, and like how to derive the business results, optimizing technology. Right. So if I look at the initial phase of my career, I was mostly into doing technical troubleshooting. And those were like days when we used to kind of solve problems over phones. Customers from US used to call, and we used to troubleshoot the internet services, as well as anything related to computers, right, desktops, laptops, etc. So I have remained in a technology environment, and as on when I saw that new technologies were getting introduced and people starting to use technology, I kept uh, reading, learning, and doing certifications, right? So, in my last 20 years experience, I would say that I kept on doing a lot of technical certifications, which helped me to stay ahead, right? So, and cybersecurity is a very interesting area because as and when technology will evolve, so will cybersecurity risks. So, it's an evolving space, and with AI now being in use for the last 1 or 2 years, there is a lot of opportunity for cybersecurity professionals to kind of step in and make full use of this, the AI, because within cybersecurity, very interestingly, it is AI versus AI. We are using AI, which can bring in a lot of risks to our environment, but the cybersecurity solutions that we have, they also have AI enabled features, because of which we are able to scan the IT environment for vulnerabilities, and then we can do remediation of these vulnerabilities. So I think AI and cybersecurity are kind of hand in glove, and it's a very exciting space to be in.
That's very insightful. Let's go back in time. When you started out cybersecurity, mostly, according to me, mostly it meant antivirus and ticking boxes for an audit. What did the job feel like back then than compared to current times?
Right. So, if I can even go back 5 years back, I would say that things were a little easy because we would rely on periodic assurance, or point in time assessments to get that comfort and reasonable degree of assurance that our IT infrastructure, the applications, and the landscape is secure, right? Because after an audit, if you have zero deficiencies, you're a happy person that everything is so secure. But with time, things have really changed. Now we are at a time like when point in time assessment do not hold value, because I cannot really say with a reasonable degree of confidence that what was assessed 6 months back is no longer a threat today. Because if you talk about AI, there are new risks that have come into the picture, right? And I cannot really say that if today everything is secure. And we are in a situation where, the concept of continuous monitoring, continuous threat detection, continuous validation, verification are very important, right? So it is no longer a annual test or evaluation that has happened, and we can kind of sleep over it or like be very relaxed about it. It is, and the AI era has made us realize that we have to continuously monitor our threat environment to be very effective, and to be having that confidence where we can say that that our company assets are all secure. Yeah.
Very unique. it seems you have worked across very different industries, very diverse functional roles, services, banking, and now FMCG, consumer goods. Before AI ever showed up, what was one big shift in cybersecurity that seems to be big wave before AI?
Before AI. So yes, the cybersecurity landscape changes every day. So every day we have, if you look at the social media, you will see some company being breached on cybersecurity or data, and so it's so fast. The cybersecurity space is space is so dynamic, and because of zero day exploits, we have to be on our toes all the time. So the best thing in cybersecurity, I would say, is the security operations center, because that is our nervous system in cybersecurity. Where, and I'll give you a little bit of a background as to what security operations center is. It is a centralized unit where cybersecurity analysts sit and monitor the threat, all the threats that are there in the IT environment within an organization. So that being the nervous center or the nerve center, it will give you alerts of various threats which are there, and these cybersecurity analysts will analyze these threats to see whether any system or network has got compromised, and they will take immediate action to quarantine the systems or isolates a system, or even maybe disable the compromised accounts. So I think the entire operation of detecting threats, then arriving at a decision as to what to do with that threat, and then taking action to isolate how to remediate those threats, is what makes cybersecurity so unique. And this is what is the best thing that
This is really an evolving field. Even I have 5+ years of work experience. I work with MNCs.
Okay.
We are trained on security first rather than development. So
Yeah.
that is the level of severity that nowadays we are facing regarding cybersecurity. So early on, you got very good at spotting where the things could break in system. You can quietly understand where system can go wrong. How much of how you protect a company today still comes from that habit of looking on the weak point, or you have to upgrade every time?
Right. So I will tell you that, maybe 12 years back, I was also into Six Sigma quality, and a quality a person with quality domain would understand that how important quality is, in terms of detecting defects, okay, even in business operations. So that stayed with me over the years, and I think it helps me in cybersecurity, because whenever I come across something which doesn't look very doesn't feel right, or I feel that there could be a risk associated with something, it automatically puts my thought process in a direction that this might go wrong and we should act, right? These early warning signals get they just pop up in my mind. So I think that quality has helped me, from a quality person who is good at detecting some errors, etc. That has helped me to that has helped me in cybersecurity, because here also I need to put on the hat of an investigator and understand the risks that can come. Yeah.
Let's come back to present times. Security, as I understand, as a domain, used to move slowly and carefully by complex auditing. AI moves every week and even every day. Has that speed simply broken the old way of keeping a company safe?
Definitely yes, because AI, when you embed that in the workflows, whichever domain or function you are working in, it compresses those timelines, right? So it is moving at a breakneck neck speed, right? So anything like any business process that you talk about, if you are relying on AI, that job gets done faster, more accurately, devoid of any errors and defects, and also any human who is supposed to be doing that work, if that person has to do it manually, then you know humans are subject to external environment influences, right? So AI would do that job much faster without getting tired, right? So, and also without defects. So I think it has compressed the timeline. I don't know if I have answered your question, but just let me know if there
You
is.
have fairly answered. Yes.
Okay.
So, did the industry see this coming and get ready, or did it catch everyone off guard? And now we are all figuring it out as we go. From my perspective, it really caught me off guard. The wave of AI.
Right. So I think 2 years back, when we woke up to the reality that AI can be used to change the ways of working, and we knew the benefits of it, then obviously people were very excited. Everybody uses all the open source or the AI models, the LLMs, for you know getting their jobs done faster, right? But when it comes to a stage when it was the leadership of any company would look for ways as to how to substitute workforce with AI, then I think that was a jolt, and people started thinking about it in a way that, how things will change and what are we going to do if we are not able to do our day job, right? That's when it hit us, right? Otherwise, everybody was very excited. So now it has come to a stage that people are it is sinking in. So people are understanding that jobs are going to change, the ways of working are going to change. So upskilling is the only way how to use AI and do the job faster, or if you want to transition to a role where AI would be used and you are comfortable with that kind of a new role, people are now becoming more open to change. So, which was not the situation at least 1 year back. Yeah.
Indeed, it did really reach very fast to the organization. I remember when I started development, I used to refer Stack Overflow. In 2023, when I saw a ChatGPT, I thought I am the only one who knows about this website called ChatGPT. Then it hit real fast. And to look at the situation today, my company has invested around billions in AI. So yeah, let's take something simple. Okay, everyday thing. Someone drops a confidential file into chatbot just to get a quick summary. In that one moment, where does this information actually go? And can it ever be really pulled back from the system, considering the complexity of the system?
Yeah. So I don't think so, because unless it is a homegrown application or AI model, I don't think that there is much scope or opportunity for us to kind of retrieve back, or if the data has already got exposed, then it cannot be retrieved back. Um, but I'm going to delve a little bit into how things can go in a very I would say it can affect an organization adversely. So if I talk about my organization, we operate in a very competitive environment, right? So we educate our employees enough so that they know how to use AI in a very responsible manner. Unfortunately, if some confidential or proprietary information gets leaked through LLMs, be it some R&D document or anything to do with our pricing strategy or new product development, formulation, um, and commercial pricing, etc., then it will be it can cause damage to the organization because if our competitor gets hold of that data, the information which is proprietary, then definitely then all the hard work that has gone into um, strategizing, right? Then it becomes it's compromised ultimately. So we are no longer at a competitive advantage there. So it's extremely important for everybody to understand the the magnitude of the damage it can do, and hence we invest our efforts in training people on the acceptable usage of AI, also telling them about the cyber risks which are involved and how it can impact the organization. So, yes.
That does give the idea of complexity around the system.
Yeah.
So here is what worried a lot of people. If the data, we are promising that the data inside AI and the system is very safe today, but there is no telling how AI will be used tomorrow. Rules change, owners change. Is it even possible to plan for something whose future behavior no one can predict? And what are your views on it? How do we handle these situations?
Yeah. So, at first, we need to understand that AI is a probabilistic system, right? It is not like a deterministic system like an application. So, every time you give an input, it can generate different output, right, for the same prompt that you give to the AI model. So similarly, I really would not know if the uh, if there is a question that I pose to AI, since it keeps changing, right? The output is different every time. So there is no way I can predict as to how things can be, with the next wave of innovation that comes along with AI. So it's already unpredictable right now. So I don't think we have a definite answer as to how it can be predicted as to how it's evolving, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we resume? When a company gets breached, the headline love a clear and dramatic attacks. But in reality, how often the attack is simple? A tired employee clicking on the wrong link? Where does the real weakness actually sit?
Yeah, so I will say that, um, any time a breach happens, or even if a cybersecurity breach happens through phishing or social engineering, I would say that the responsibility definitely is with the employee who has clicked on the link or probably uploaded a confidential document, right? So it is definitely the onus lies on the employee. I would not say that, because, within every organization, there are policies, there are trainings, and there is a lot of buzz around how we need to secure our AI systems, etc. So it is definitely the user behavior or the employee behavior that comes under scrutiny. Yeah.
Uh, you have undertaken a lot of leadership roles. So, a security leader's job used to be mostly about protecting the systems earlier. Now, a big part of it seems to be calming a room. Some people are scared of AI, others are excited about it. How much of the today's job is really about managing the fear and hype?
Right. So, yes. So the hype is fortunately settling right now because people are using AI to the extent possible. And fear, yes, it keeps a CISO awake at night because definitely the risks around AI are definitely growing. And I will also touch upon the fact that with the advent of frontier AI models like Claude, Mythos, right? So the AI, the AI model itself is capable enough to launch cyber attacks at a speed which no organization can potentially defend against within the same time frame that it has conducted the reconnaissance and do the attack, right? So my answer would be that yes, hype has gone, but definitely the fear remains. Yeah.
There is a natural tension here. The business wants to move fast as possible with AI, and the security instinct is to slow down and check first. How does a leader hold that line without becoming the person everyone tries to go to around?
Right. So, yeah, it becomes my job at the end of the day to tell people that security is not in conflict with innovation, right? People want to scale the usage of AI, that is very good. And obviously, we would not ever like to kill innovation, but AI has to be scaled responsibly within the guardrails of security and governance, right? Because in the unfortunate event there is a breach or some attack happens using AI, or due to the usage of AI, then it will definitely cause a lot of damage for the company in terms of harming the reputation of the organization. It will lead to financial losses, as well as it will also attract regulatory fines, right? So no company wants to be in the headlines for the wrong reasons. So it is very important for every business leader to understand that AI risk ultimately translates into business risk, and it is for every business, whether business function, if I can just name a few like marketing, sales, supply, production. So everybody has equal responsibility in letting their teams know that usage of AI is great, but do not try to circumvent security controls. Always do any work with AI within the guardrails and the governance controls, right? So otherwise, it is ultimately the company which is going to face the damage or bear the brunt of all the losses. Yeah.
You have handled many teams across the countries, across your organization. So I'm always wondering about that part because I'm a quite beginner in this industry, and I still don't know how to handle people here. So moving from doing the work yourself to trusting a team to do it, it is very big shift for anyone. What tends to be the hardest part of learning to let go, and did it come easily or take time?
Right.
So you know the work you are going to do. How are you sure about the team is going to follow the exact path, and how do you trust them? That is the
Right.
trickiest part.
Absolutely. So, people management definitely is an area that every leader has to kind of understand their people well, and in a team of 10 people, everybody will not be at the same level of competence, or everybody is not going to work with the same level of passion, right? But as a leader, what I can say is you have to keep your team motivated enough to bring out the best from them, and also you need to be invested in their improvement. Like, if a person has aspirations for growth, you need to have a very uh, transparent conversation about what are the opportunities the person can take up, what are the certifications or the skilling, or the trainings that he or she can do to level up to the next, I would say, the next level where the person can grow. So you really have to be invested in your people, talk to them, and understand their aspirations. Because at the end of the day, your performance is ultimately what your team delivers on, right? So, um, as a leader, everything that your team does and the kind of delivery that they provide, that is going to add up, and the leader's performance is going to be the summation of all the team's performance. So, yes.
This is actually very critical skill. So earlier it was very difficult for me to at least even lead the team of three. But since in Accelera program, GMP program, there are a lot of subjects focusing on this soft skill. So apart from there are a lot of technologies and things to handle, but this one skill should be grown.
Yeah.
And GMP program has been providing lot of activities, team activities, even some initiative to build this skill. Uh, for the student who will walk into this field a year or two, cybersecurity or maybe AI or maybe a conjunction of them, what the one skill that will actually matter, and what the one skill the people are wasting time on.
Within cybersecurity. Okay. So, I would say that continuously learning about the domains and the technology uh, developments in each domain, because cybersecurity has a lot of domains, right? Operation security, then you have network security, asset security. So there are many domains. So one needs to kind of keep learning, and because technology is evolving fast, so within each domain you will see a different set of technologies come in every 1 or 2 years, right? So that's very important. Secondly, what doesn't work in cybersecurity is, um, what is overrated would be a compliance checklist, because you might, as I just alluded to earlier, that you might do a um, point in time assessment on assets, or information assets and the IT infrastructure 6 months back, but that will not be able to give you comfort after 6 months, that and you cannot be 100% sure that everything is fine today, right? So um, the concept of continuous evaluation, continuous monitoring is something which you will eventually have to get accustomed to. And yes, so that's pretty much what I have to say.
Interesting. So uh, the cohort will be watching your podcast. If you could give one advice, one piece of advice to our cohort, the cohort of MBS, about working with AI instead of being afraid to it. If
Yeah.
you could clear some clouds around AI, because there is a lot more negative around the AI nowadays. It will eat our
Okay.
job. It will
Yeah,
be safe or
yeah.
not. So I mean, even we talked about it. But
Yeah.
let's talk something. Let's give some ray of hope to them.
Right. So yes, I did sense that during my interactions with this cohort, that some of you are a little scared and skeptical as to how you're going to move from here on. Now that AI is has kind of if it has invaded our job space, right, our workspace, and some of you are like really struggling to understand whether jobs will remain or they will not remain. I think you guys need to relax, okay? Make most of the learning that you are in this 1 year time, and enjoy that learning. So, because ultimately, whether you fear it or not, we'll all have to face it, right? So, let's not be nervous about it, and try to learn as much possible about AI, how you can apply it. Um, Try to scope out areas of interest which excites you, and where you want to really grow, okay? And then see the use cases of AI which fit into that domain, how you can use AI effectively within that domain. Read about all the use cases, and that should make you, once you learn and that this is where I will be able to apply, even if it involves a lot of learning, it will kind of keep you excited and motivated. Otherwise, just going by certain social media posts like some organization has laid off so many employees and it's like everywhere it's the same story, it will generate a lot of negativity. So don't fall into the trap. Instead, yeah, just be aware of things which are happening. But at the same time, in order to keep yourself motivated, just learn properly and identify domains where you want to use the AI tools. Yeah.
Let's go off the clock now. Let's talk about something else. You are seriously into fitness. Uh, where does that motivation actually come from? I have worked as a developer. I could never find that motivation or time in my schedule. You are leading teams, driving some serious infrastructure. How do you find that balance in work-life balance? How do you find the time in work-life balance?
Okay. So yes. So it was not like this, I would say 3-4 years back. So fitness is something that I'm now very passionate about. Although I cannot say for sure that I work out every day, that is sometimes not possible because there is too much work and there is commute to office and back, like all eat up a lot of time. But yes, I do make a point to work out at least 3 to 4 times a week. And that is because I've seen what impact it has, right? So at the end of the day, we are all stressed and we just don't suffer from work related stress. There are other stress factors. It could be in personal life, or it could be, it could be anything, right? But your system will have a lot of stress. And to de-stress yourself, the best way is to start doing some physical exercise, right? And fortunately, I have been part of some organizations where there were fitness challenges that were launched, and we were kind of made part of a group, and everybody had to cover 10K steps every day to be considered even to be in the qualifier, right? So it was a push. We would push each other, and we had to do it because if I don't do it, then my entire team actually uh, falls below that qualifying level. So it started from that, and now I've started enjoying that. So yes, to de-stress myself, I try to maintain a fitness regime. I also like to eat healthy, although yes, sometimes junk food becomes when there is no option, we fall for junk food. But it will ultimately help you because now you're just now you guys are very young and students, but after 10-15 years, when you are in the corporate, you will see that it is fitness which really matters, and you're able to kind of balance out things better if you maintain a fitness regime.
I also believe that this should be driven from organization levels as well. We are personally aware about our fitness goals, but there should be some initiative taken from organization level as well. Do you see that happening in India right now, or there is still time to it, or any improvement would you like to add on to it?
Yeah. So I think most of the organizations right now do have fitness programs, right? It is a voluntary program. It's not that every employee needs to be part of some fitness challenge, but I have seen these exciting initiatives being run in different organizations that I have worked for. For 2 months at a stretch, they will have a fitness challenge where people have to complete a certain number of steps, and they have to kind of do some yoga and post pictures of those in the fitness app to kind of really be, that really peps up your team, right? So once you see your friend or your co-worker doing some fitness activity, you will be energized and you will also be motivated to do that, right? So yes, organizations do invest efforts in that direction now, and you will get to see once you enter the corporate. Yeah.
Yes. Even I have seen some initiatives in my previous
Okay.
organization, so
Right.
I quite agree upon that. And that was very valuable experience you shared about it. Shall we move on to rapid fire round?
Yes, I'm a little scared, but yes, we can.
AI in one word: hope or worry?
Hope.
Best part of your job in one word?
I get to lead teams.
The concepts of password in 2030, will it be alive or gone, taken care by AI?
It will be gone. It will be passwordless. It is passwordless now as well. Yeah,
Bigger risk: a careless insider or clever outsider?
careless insider.
Move fast, fix later, or slow down or get it right?
It's a combination of both the things. It has to be move fast with security.
Given the accuracy of AI getting nowadays, AI writes the mail for you or you yourself write it?
It depends on um, what I have to respond to. If it's something very brief and like I can just reply in one or two lines, I don't usually fall back on AI. But if I have to really summarize something or a meeting that had happened before, and then I need to give a lot of context, then I would use Copilot or any AI tool.
We would go to fast favorites. You need to answer in very few words at time. Okay. Your favorite leader, and you would steal one quality from him or her.
Okay, I have worked under several leaders, and the single most quality because of which I still holds a great degree of respect for those leaders is being calm, taking decisions even when the pressure is too high, right? Like if you have a very calm mind, and if you are able to kind of take decisions under pressure, then that is the biggest leadership quality that anyone can have.
One piece of advice you would tape to every new hire's desk.
Every new
Desk.
hire.
Yes. The person you have just hired.
Yeah.
One piece of advice you would tape it to his desk.
Tape it to the desk. Okay. Enjoy your work.
I quite agree to that. One thing about the future of AI that actually excites you in a very positive way.
Okay. What excites me is the potential of AI and its ability to kind of transform the cybersecurity landscape in such a way that now it is AI versus AI. But I'm excited about it instead of being fearful about it, because I really want to explore as to what is the next frontier and how we can use AI to augment cybersecurity capabilities.
One last question. Early morning workout or late in evening?
It is always a late evening workout for me because I start at 7 a.m. I have to drive 20 kilometers to reach my workplace, and because of which I don't get time in the morning to do workout.
That's all from my side. That was very quite insightful conversation.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I enjoyed it as much.
Thank you.